All right, welcome everybody. My name is Dr. Jody Stanislaw, and my talk today is called 10 Countries and 10 Lessons, Successfully Traveling the World with Type 1 Diabetes. So first of all, before I dive into my big adventure that I'm going to take you on, who am I? Maybe you're just meeting me. I've had type 1 for over 40 years. I was diagnosed when I was 7, and I've turned my lemons into lemonade. I get to help type ones now all over the world. I do private calls. I have online courses. I have a membership program. I love helping type ones. That is, I feel like, part of my mission on life. I gave a TED talk a couple years ago. It has over 2 million views on why sugar is not a treat, even though I'll talk to you about what my my eating philosophy is in the middle of my talk. I also wrote a book called Hunger when I worked in Thailand for a year. So yes, I'm very adventurous. I like doing fun and adventurous things, and I like to help type ones. And so my talk is inspired by this year-long travel program I signed up for. I work abroad. I work virtually. I've had a virtual telemedicine practice even before COVID began. So I'm kind of ahead of the times with that. And so I was going to just take my computer and go travel around the world. And I found this program that organized my life for me. There were 30 of us that all are various different professionals that work virtually, and they organized our life for us, and we were supposed to supposed to go to all of these countries and live in each one for 1 month at a time. So you'll see the timing, September 2019 to September 2020. You can imagine that I didn't get to finish the program, right? COVID, spoiler alert. So the top 5 that I've highlighted and starred are actually what I'm going to be sharing with you today, because the other 7 I never made it to. All right. So the first question, of course, is how do you pack as a type 1 to go travel the world? How do you do that? And I'm here to inspire you that yes, we absolutely can travel the world. That is so important for you to get. Okay. First of all, basics, right? We need to be able to test our blood sugar, and we need to be able to give ourselves insulin, right? So I brought extra insulin with me. And, we all have our own little sneaky ways of how we get more than 1 month of insulin at a time. I have a back stock of insulin in my fridge. And so I brought a lot. Now, mind you, I've lived abroad a lot and I've traveled a lot. Guess what? There are type 1s all over the world. So you can get insulin around the world also. I chose to bring all this with me just because I wanted to be prepared. I carried it on my carry-on, and as soon as I arrived, I would check the fridge of where I'm staying for one night to make sure it didn't freeze things, and then I'd put my insulin in the fridge when I arrived. So it stayed there all month, and then it would go back in my purse when I flew to the next location, and rinse and repeat. Of course, I brought all my needles. I brought Dexcom sensors. Now, I can't bring a year of Dexcom sensors because they're so big, right? If you are in the inn, you know how to make a 10-day last a little longer. So I was able to do that. But I also brought meters, batteries, pokers, pokes, strips, all of that, which are also easily available all around the world. All the cities I was going to were pretty major cities. And so every pharmacy I went to, they all had diabetes supplies. I brought my written prescriptions, of course. I brought glucose tabs just because I probably had 300 when I was packing. Not that they don't have sugar around the world. And definitely the written prescriptions of all the supplies, of my health history, emergency contact info, and an identification bracelet, right? There's some really good health insurance for travelers called Safety Wings. So if you are ready to start traveling, I don't know if when you're listening to this, if COVID is behind us enough. So this is what I brought. And however, before you go, I always recommend getting a health checkup. Well, it depends on how long you're traveling for. But I made a free handout for you, and you can get it here at my website, drjodynd.com, and TCOYD bonus. So I definitely encourage you. This is helpful even if you're not traveling. I've captured all the cardio exam or the blood work we should have done, eyes, feet, urine, everything. So it's just a nice handout if you'd like to. But of course, if you're going to travel the world for a year, you better be all checked in and healthy, right? So the first stop is Croatia. And the really cool thing about this itinerary is it was planned for me. I didn't get to pick the cities. And I don't know if I ever would have gone to Croatia, but let me tell you, go to Croatia if you can. It's like this undiscovered Europe, right? Everybody goes to Italy, and right next door is Croatia. Stunning, 1,500 islands along the coast. Beautiful. This is one of the islands here. It's Croatia, part of the Adriatic Sea, well, you can see my little 718 islands, islets, reefs. It's pretty beautiful. One of the best places to sail in the world. So this is Dubrovnik, a very famous city, especially for you Game of Thrones fans. This is where the fake city called King's Landing was filmed in Game of Thrones. This city is almost 1,500 years old. Inside the old town it's a walled city, and then of course there's the more modern sprawl outside. And this is the edge of the wall, where there's actually a bar on the edge of the wall, which was incredible. I watched the sunset there, and then they've made the inside of the town very beautiful. Restaurants along the walkways, things like that. And this was really cool. I was in like a 7-Eleven version of, like a 7-Eleven in Croatia. And I just saw this magazine, and you can see she's got a Freestyle Libre on her arm. And I thought, oh my gosh, how cool. There's talking about some sort of diabetes thing. And so I picked up this magazine, and then I was talking to some locals who actually knew the doctor. And so I thought this was so cool. My first stop halfway around the world. And I'm like, of course, running into type 1s as if we're not everywhere. And I got her phone number, and then here we are having a dinner on this beautiful beach. And I got to meet this incredible woman who's had type 1. She was actually pregnant at the time and managing her type 1 very well. And she took me on this little adventure through these blue caves, which is one of the very popular tourist things to do. The water's blue because the walls of the cave actually don't go all the way down. And so sunlight from the outside shines down at the ocean and then up into the cave. So this is amazing. And I was posting all of my travels on Facebook. I have, type 1s that follow me all around the world. And so this was really cool. Some followers of mine live in Croatia. And so they reached out to me and they said, hey, you're in our hometown. Can we meet you? So then I met this whole wonderful family. This little girl in the pink has type 1, and this boy in the camouflage, he has type 1. So this family came and met me, which I thought was so great. And then I went to go to get a massage, and this woman's got her CGM on her arm, another type 1. So my talk today is called 10 Countries and 10 Lessons. And so today's lesson, lesson number 1 is, if you're feeling alone, guess what? There are millions of us with type 1 all around the world. All right. So stop number 2, Portugal. It's kind of like the San Francisco of Portugal, they call it. Similar trolleys and lots of hills everywhere. Beautiful, beautiful paths, beautiful walkways, beautiful streets. I love the architecture and the colors. Beautiful coastline. I rented a car for a few days and drove down the coast of Portugal. Just stunning scenery. And of course, they are famous for something called egg custards. Lots of fat, carbs in the crust, of course, and then lots of sugar. So we're dealing with fat, carbs, and protein because it's an egg custard, right? So leading up to my second lesson is, how do you dose for all these crazy foods when you're traveling, right? Well, this is something I love, love, love to teach all of us with type 1. And that is how... Okay, first of all, the question is, so how do you dose for an egg custard? Or for that matter, I'll go back, right? Look at the cookie store. I mean, they're everywhere when you travel, right? So how do you dose for these crazy foods? Well, this is something I love, love, love to teach people, is we need to learn how to dose beyond carb counting. Counting carbs alone is never going to get us the right dose, right? High fat you might need an increased basal rate for 8 hours. Right? Some carbs spike really quickly, like if you're eating straight sugar, straight fruit, sweet candy. But like an egg custard, it might spike you quickly, but then there's so much fat, it might go slowly, right? So complex meals, when we have a lot of carbs, but a lot of protein and fat, you might need multiple doses, right? The extended bolus. I'm on shots, so I do multiple doses over several hours. But rapid insulin, it peaks right away, 30, 60, 90 minutes, and then it's going to tail off. right? So that's why if you have a meal that's going to push you high for hours, one rapid bolus or one rapid shot's not going to cover it. And then just protein alone can raise you. So this is something I have a course for on my website, but it's really important that you reach out to your healthcare team or resources on my website, so we with type 1 can learn how to dose beyond carb counting. It's something I'm really passionate about teaching type 1s, that we must learn how to do. If we're only counting our carbs and dosing all that insulin up front, we're going to deal with lots of highs and lots of lows. And so being masterful with dosing when you travel is really important, because obviously you're going to eat unfamiliar foods. All right. So now this wasn't on the list of where we were going to be staying for a month. Morocco was just a side trip that I decided to take from Lisbon, since it's so close. Look, Morocco is only 8 miles from the south of Spain. So I decided I should go to Morocco because I'm so close and I've never been to Africa and I should go check it out. So here is some scenery of the towns as I'm driving on a van out to the Sahara Desert. Because of course, if you go to Morocco, you've got to ride a camel and sleep on a tent, right, in the Sahara Desert. So of course, I had to do that. This is me on my camel going out to do some glamping, right? The high-end tents where they make us a beautiful dinner in the Sahara. That was amazing. And the signs, look at the stop sign. I thought it was beautiful. It kind of reminded me of like people canoeing under the stars. And look, there is a hospital, the Hospital Tingar. I don't know how to pronounce that. And then of course, a hemodialysis center, right? Unfortunately, people need a hemodialysis center all around the world. And guess what? I'm very glad that I don't need a hemodialysis center. And I hope that you never need a hemodialysis center either. So what is the lesson from Morocco? The lesson is, if you're still having lots of high blood sugar levels, please stop accepting that that's normal. All the type 1s I've talked to, I find that going up to 200 on a daily basis is normal. And I just am here to say, I don't want us to think that going up to 200 every day is normal, right? You need to find the support, whatever, from wherever you can, either my resources or your healthcare team, or thank goodness you're part of this conference. You're obviously dedicated and motivated to your diabetes, but we really want to go for a healthy time in range and a healthy A1C. All right. So whatever you need to keep going up high, right? One of my favorite things to do is exercise when I'm high, right? And hopefully you've learned that tip. But that's a great way to get your highs down. But knowing how to dose properly is essential so you don't go high in the first place. But really, I'm here to say, especially if you want an active life and you want to travel, you want to have good control of your blood sugar levels, right? You want to be in good range. So when you're traveling, you're not exhausted and worried about crazy sugar levels. One less thing to worry about. All right. So next stop is Spain. I actually drove from Lisbon across Spain for 2 weeks, which was pretty amazing. And guess what? They are all about naps, which made me super excited. Spanish feel that naps are absolutely necessary in their life, which I think is a really good point. I should have made that a lesson. I don't know if I made that a lesson. But Spain's beautiful, of course, a very deep religious history, incredible cathedrals in every city. And of course, they've got the flamenco, which is their signature dance. Incredible. This woman's dancing in this incredible piazza. I'm in Sevilla. This is called the Piazza de España. Incredible. And this woman's doing her flamenco. I thought, well, maybe she has a high blood sugar. Maybe she's just getting her blood sugar down. No, obviously not. But they also, look at this. They love to be active in Spain. The UPS driver is riding his bike. Isn't that fabulous? I just loved that photo. And look at all the incredible fresh vegetables at their vegetable market. So very healthy culture in Spain, which my message for us is that we need to adopt this. If we want a healthy, long life with type 1, lesson number 4 and 5. Got a high blood sugar? Turn on some music and dance, do the flamenco, do whatever you want. But when you have recent insulin on board, which means anywhere in the past 2 to 3 hours, moving your body is going to make that insulin work a lot faster and a lot more intensely. So moving your body when you have a high on, I always tell my patients, just do a little dance party in your living room, go run up some stairs, something like that. Be creative. And then eat lots of veggies. They're so healthy for you, and stay active. All right. I'm going to sip of water here. Next stop, Cape Town, South Africa. Incredible. This was a very long flight. I think I flew from Lisbon to Cape Town. That was about 20 hours. I don't know if I ever would have gone to Cape Town in my life, but I loved it. Look at this incredible city, incredible hiking, and incredible beaches, and an incredible city. It's got it all. I was so impressed with Cape Town. Um, and this is called Table Mountain. And look at these clouds. The first time I saw it, they literally roll off the edge of Table Mountain as if it's a waterfall. That's not just a still photo. Well, it's a still photo, but if it was a movie, you'd see these clouds like rolling over. It was incredible. The beaches are beautiful. I mean, I was so in love with Cape Town. Beautiful town, beautiful city. And then, of course, when you're in South Africa, you got to go on a safari. This was amazing. The elephants, the lions, the leopards, the giraffes, I mean, incredible. And we were driving around for 3 days in these nice little, open air buggies. And look at this lion that I'm right next to. I think that they've been doing this for so many decades that the animals just know that these cars drive around and they're not a threat, because none of the animals, even like this one, we were right next to him or her and didn't even give us any eye contact, just looked right over. Same with this lion. So I think now I wasn't standing on the grass in this photo next to the lion. You cannot get out of the car and you can't stand up and make loud noises and things like that. You have to stay in the car. But I think they're just so used to seeing people coming and going that they don't even bother to even look at us. It was pretty amazing. But I don't know if I would have gone on a safari was I not in South Africa, because of this itinerary, but it was never on my bucket list. And now I recommend everybody to see the animals in the wild. It was really quite breathtaking. So I flew into Johannesburg to go to this area. And then I flew back to Cape Town and I met, this was incredible, Christo Brand, who was Nelson Mandela's prison guard for 18 years. And they became incredible friends. And Christo Brand wrote a book about everything he learned from Mandela and the experience of being his prison guard. So that was a pretty incredible lunch that I had with Christo Brand. So my lesson is our world is an amazing place, right? Our world is an amazing place. Nature is amazing. The fact that we have insulin that keeps us alive is amazing, right? If any of us were born less than, like 100 years ago, we wouldn't even be alive. So I know people get really frustrated with having diabetes and we wish we didn't have it. And we get frustrated when our CGM isn't accurate, right? But the flip side of that is that we have a condition that we can do anything we want, right? With the right training, with the right confidence, with the right support, with the right preparation, we can see this amazing world, right? Of course, DEX is going to be, or our CGM is going to be inaccurate sometime. All technology is going to have issues, right? So it's just attitude. I think attitude is everything when it comes to not only just living with a chronic disease, but with life, right? We can choose to see beauty everywhere. And I certainly was just breathtaken by the beauty that I saw, well, not only in Cape Town, but my whole trip. And so I'm trying to inspire you to feel that way. Even sitting at home right now, look at the beauty around you, right? You have this computer, this device, and you have insulin, hopefully, and you have people that love you. So I'm really passionate about when I work with people that we're not just taking good care of our diabetes, but we're taking good care of our soul, of our mind, of our emotional health, and all that stuff. So finding gratitude in your daily life is just a beautiful practice for having a beautiful life. All right, so now this is another just weekend stop I decided to do, because when you're flying over these amazing cities, right, going time, I figure, well, if I have to fly over Dubai, I should stop in Dubai. I'd always heard how incredible it was. And to be honest, I don't recommend it. Going to South Africa, yes. Going to Dubai, I mean, I'm not into buildings and shopping, and there's a lot of buildings and a lot of shopping. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe more like a Disneyland. They do have the tallest building. It's pretty amazing. As you can see there, it's called the Burj Khalifa. And at night, just like at the Bellagio in Vegas, they do all these water shows and they change the lights on the building, like 10 different scenes. And so here's the dark, starry night lights. And then there's, who knows what this other scene was, but it was pretty amazing. But they do this water show at the base of this building. To get to the top, they charge something like $200. So I was like, I don't need to go on an elevator ride for $200. So I just stayed at the base. And a lot of buildings, a lot of shopping. Like I said, this shopping mall is, I don't know what they said, something like 50 soccer fields in the square footage area of size. So I'm not a big shopper, but if you like buildings and shopping, Dubai is the place to go. Unfortunately, they've got fast food all over the world, and the Middle East is very high with type 2 diabetes. But things like Dairy Queen and McDonald's exist all around the world, which is pretty heartbreaking to me. Makes me sad because I'm all about inspiring people to live a healthy life, and but our fast foods have made it around the globe. But of course, as I said, I like to take care of myself. So after all this busy traveling, I found this beach one day and I laid down, and this lovely Thai woman comes up and, you know, does her sign language to see if I want my feet rubbed. And I'm like, absolutely. So when we are traveling, we've got to still take good care of our body. But even if we're not traveling, we have to take good care of our body. So the lesson here is especially your shoulders. Do you know that type 1s have a much higher rate of having frozen shoulder, right? So how flexible are your shoulders? Do you stretch your shoulders? Do you need a massage? Does your neck hurt, right? That's attached to your shoulder. So we really got to take good care of all of our joints, of our physical body, our muscles, our joints, and really getting body work don't think of it as just a luxury. And if you can't afford it, then teach your friends how to massage your shoulders, right? We can always have friends massage our shoulders if we're not going to go out and get a massage. So make sure your shoulders are flexible. Can your hands reach? I can on this side, but I can on that side. But it's common for your dominant hand shoulder to be a little tighter. But make sure that you're, keeping your joints flexible. All right. So next stop is now Hanoi, Vietnam. At this point, to be honest, I'm getting a little tired of traveling with the group. I'm getting a little tired of traveling every 4 weeks to a brand new country with a new language and new food and everything. It's also the second most polluted city in Asia. And I'm kind of a health nut and like clean air. So I bought this pollution mask. And ironically, this was in February, right? COVID was just bubbling up in our world, but I bought this mask because it was so polluted. And the other thing I don't like about Asia is all of the rice, right? Look at this. I eat a bunch of rice. I go up past 300. And then, of course, I'm so annoyed I'm that high. I rage bolus all the way down to a low. Then, of course, I shove my face with a whole bunch of sugar. And now I'm 175 arrow straight up. Right. So at this point, I'm tired of traveling. I'm tired of eating rice. I'm tired of dirty air. It's not going well at this point in the trip. But I want to pull a lesson out of every stop for you guys. So my lesson here is when you're going to eat some crazy high glycemic thing, pre-dose, right? Insulin takes at least 30 to 60 minutes to peak, and rice peaks in like a second, right? Second lesson, of course, is when you're feeling low, don't go buy treats, right? Don't even go into your kitchen. I am all about sticking with glucose tabs. I get these little containers and buy the big bottles of glucose tabs and then carry them around in little containers like this. So they're always with me wherever I go, because I know that if I'm low and I open the fridge, or if I'm low and I go to a store, I'm not going to stop. It's hard, right? So you've got to give your insulin time to work before you eat something that's going to spike you. And when you're low, carry glucose tabs. All right, next stop, where are we going? Singapore airport. Well, I was only there for 20 hours and I was exhausted, and I'm trying to sleep in this chair, which didn't work very well. And I'm getting worn out. And at this point, I've actually left the group, even though COVID is actually, spoiler alert, breaking down and apart my whole organization in the next, I think probably a month after this picture. Everybody had to go home and the whole thing fell out, the bottom fell out. I decided to leave the group and go check out India. So I'm on a layover in the Singapore airport and I'm exhausted. But the cool thing about the Singapore airport is they have incredible gardens. It's like one of the nicest airports in the world. They have this incredible sunflower garden and the orchid gallery and the koi pond, fish ponds. It's amazing. They have a movie theater and waterfalls. So, I mean, obviously, a lot of people have to get stuck for a long time in the Singapore airport. So they've made it quite beautiful, which is amazing. So I got to relax a little bit in the airport and rest. And so my lesson from the Singapore airport is anytime you're burned out, make sure you stop and smell the roses, right? What does that mean to you? Does that mean like, I just need to take a nap? I just need to go on a walk. I need to watch a funny movie, right? I need to call a friend. What are the things that fill your soul, right? We can so easily get on these hamster wheels and our blood sugar levels then kind of aren't as great. And then we eat not so well and then we don't sleep well. And it's a really terrifying hamster wheel of bad choices, right? When you notice you're caught in that cycle, stop and smell the roses. All right, where am I going to next? Yes, India. So I'm a holistic physician. I went to a med school where I did all the same science classes as a regular MD, but our whole focus was let's really make sure the body is healthy from the core, right? What's the diet? How's digestion? Are we sleeping? Are you exercising? All these basics that the body needs to be healthy, right? I've had plenty of patients that, have a 6% A1C, but, they're not eating and they don't exercise or they are so angry at life, right? So I'm always thinking, I want to make sure that we are all healthy. So I hear about this holistic Ayurvedic hospital in India, and I'm like, I want to go there and I want to try it out. So I go to India by myself, say goodbye to all my fellow world travelers. And now I'm in India. And so here I'm arriving in India. And I think I have a pretty flat blood sugar there. I'm very proud of being on a flight for as many hours as I was with a nice steady 94. Incredible temples. Now the sky here is so beautiful, but that's because there's so much smog. That's kind of the positive thing of smog, right? It makes a beautiful sky. But that is a real picture. And that's really what the sky looked like. I make friends wherever I go. Here are some of my new friends. Now, here is some of the food I ate while I'm at this like healing center in India. I don't even know what it is. A green bowl of green. That was some sort of, it wasn't rice, thank goodness. If it was white rice, I would have spiked so much. But it was some weird veggies. And my lesson that I'm going to get to here is anytime you drastically change your diet, anytime you lose weight, anytime you increase your activity or decrease your activity, all these things demand us to know how to adjust not only our long-acting insulin, but our mealtime strategy as well, right? If you go from eating a ton of fat all the time, probably like I was traveling, to this diet where there's like almost no fat, I'm definitely going to have lower insulin resistance 24 hours a day, right? Because high fat can last and temporarily increase insulin resistance for many hours. This is something I love teaching people that I work with and I teach in my courses because we never think that fat is going to raise our blood sugar. But guess what? It can when you are you're not even eating bad food, right? When I eat lots of avocados and lots of nuts, my blood sugar level can go up, right? So I really am passionate about helping type 1s get this. I'd like to think the whole package of training that we need, right? Dosing beyond carb counting, feeling confident, knowing how to adjust your basal when your activity level increases or if your activity level decreases, right? Or if you get sick, things like that. So definitely need to know how to be the captain of your ship, right? And navigate your blood sugars. So that is lesson number 10. All right, what's next? So I'm in India, COVID's exploding, and I'm thinking, the world's going to shut down. Where do I want to get shut down? So surprise, aloha. I have now been living in Hawaii for over a year. So although we're pretending we're in Hawaii, I'm in Hawaii. I'll show you I don't know if I can turn my thing, but this behind me is actually being reflected in the glass doors of where I'm staying. And all of the beautiful trees and flowers are in front of me. So maybe I'll pick up my computer before I'm done. I don't want to mess anything up right now, but I'm now living in Hawaii because it's a great place to be when COVID is happening. Here I am with my new friends, the plants and the smiley, happy, I don't know, Buddha guy. Is he a Buddha guy? And let's see. So let's do a quick summary of our lessons. Number 1, we're never alone. There's type 1s everywhere. Number 2, you've got to learn how to dose beyond carb counting. I've got resources for you. Your healthcare team has resources for you, but dosing beyond carb counting, understanding fat and protein, fast carbs and slow carbs, very important. And to piggyback on that, get the support you need. Make sure you're getting in range, right? I feel like there's way too much lax in our care, right? Oh, you're 180 or 200. Everybody is. No, you deserve better. If you have high blood sugar and you've got some insulin on board, get moving. It brings you down faster. Eat healthy foods, eat veggies, stay active. Number 6, our world is an amazing place. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Hopefully that's part of your life, gratitude. Get body work, especially take care of your shoulders. Pre-dose before high glycemic meals, especially if you're already high. Burned out, stop. Do things that make your spirit smile, right? Don't keep going. And number 10, when diet or activity overall change, your dosing amounts will too. So bonus lesson, got type 1, you can travel the world. I'm here to prove it, right? When you have the proper support, education, and training, you feel confident that you know how to navigate your blood sugars. These are things that your healthcare team can teach you, or that I have resources on my website for. Back to this one too. This is the freebie that I made for you guys. It's all the periodic exams, regardless if you're going to travel or not. So drjodynd.com, TCOYD bonus is where you can get this freebie. Okay. I wish I could do live Q&A, but we'll just have to find another time to do that, right? I do have a membership program where I do Q&A. So you can, I'd love to meet you if, or send me a note if you loved my talk. This is who I am. I am Dr. Jody Stanislaw. I am a naturopathic doctor and, well, not a CDE anymore. It's much longer. I'm very passionate about helping type 1s. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. And I hope I get to meet you virtually sometime or at a conference. So as I promised, I will try to give you some of my beautiful scenery here. Let's see if I could, oh yeah, I think I can do like this. And let's see, now you should have full view of my scenery. And I am going to show you Hawaii. Ta-da! Not bad, right? Hawaii. All right, so signing off from Hawaii. Aloha.